Hello, my name is Mark Kloner, and I'm here in a 500 square foot room, and we're going to test 3 different categories of air purifiers to determine their cleaning effectiveness. And there's a measurement for cleaning effectiveness called the clean air delivery rate. It's the standard of how all air purifiers are compared by the American Manufacturers, Appliance Manufacturers Association. And KDAR just basically is a measurement of the amount of air moved times the cleaning efficiency. And the air moved is measured by cubic feet per minute, and the cleaning efficiency is how much of the particulate is removed from the air, and by a percentage. Okay? Now, the first thing we're going to do is measure how much particulate is in the room. Now, this particle counter, it measures 2 different sizes of particles. The 1 micron particle is a pollen-sized invisible particle to the human eye, and you multiply this by 100, and that's how many per cubic foot. So there's about 32,000 or so 1 micron particles per cubic foot, and there's in the neighborhood of 1,600 to 2,000 particles per cubic foot of the 5 microns, which are barely visible dust particles. Okay, that's what's in the room before we turn on the air purifier. All right. Now, the first machine that we're going to test is called the IQAir Pro. This is a 260 KDAR machine, a very high-powered machine. It consistently gets the top ratings from the name brand Consumer Testing Agency magazine, and it is a very, very effective HEPA filter. Some people consider it a little bit noisy because it takes a powerful fan to push these particles through a filter. Okay. Now we'll watch, start it at 33,000, and we'll see as the particles drop down and count. Now this actually is a very effective air filter, a HEPA filter. However, the fan has a disadvantage of stirring up continuous dust from carpets, drapes, and furnishings, so it really will never get down more than maybe about 75% of the particles in the room will be eliminated. 25% will be continuously kicked up into the air, impacting people's breathing and lifestyle. The larger particles, you'll notice, are easier to get out, and in fact it gets down to 0 of the larger particles, but the more troublesome particles, the pollen size and smaller, are kicked up into the air and will never be reduced. Okay, we can turn this off a little bit. Okay, and now this air purifier is somewhat costly. It costs about $1,000, and it costs several $100s a year to operate. You'll notice how it's quickly going right back up once you turn the air purifier off. Within a matter of minutes of turning off an air purifier, it gets back to where it was before, which is why when you have a noisy, energy inefficient air purifier, it's a fallacy to assume you can clean a room and turn it off and it'll stay clean, or even reduce it. You need to run the air purifier at its maximum capacity at all times in order to get the best efficiency. Now, the IQAir Pro, as I said, it costs about $1,000, several $100s a year to operate because of the filters need to be replaced, and it does use quite a bit of electricity, but it does do a good job while it's on its maximum capacity. All right. Now the next air purifier category we're going to test. This machine is made by the EcoQuest Alpine Corporation, formerly Alpine. Now the way this one works, it's not quite as noisy. But the way this one works, it doesn't have a filter in there. It's pushing out ions and ozone, which do a very good job of deodorizing and also actually of killing bacteria on surfaces. However, it's not particularly efficient in terms of removing particles. Quite the contrary, it's actually pushing more particles into the airstream. And it actually increases the number of particles in the room of both the 5 microns and the 1 micron size particles. All right. Now, The next machine we're going to test is a 21st century machine, which is basically has no fan and no filters. Now, this has a huge advantage because, as you notice, when we turn it on, it's 100% silent. Not quiet, but silent. And unlike the 20th century so models of fanless air purifiers, this does move the air. The highest KDAR of any fanless air purifier before the Silent Night was 15. This particular model is 150 KDAR. We have prototypes that are larger size that are actually 450 KDAR. It's only determined by the physical size, but 150 KDAR for home use is more than sufficient. Now, this particular machine, we'll turn on the particle counter. And it gets rid of 100% of the particles. 0.0, both the pollen size and the small dust size. And we could, if we turn it off, just like every other air purifier, it needs to be on all of the time, or the particulate will get back up to where it was before. So that's why we say you want to use every air purifier, whatever one you're going to use, you want it on continuously, because it will do its job. Notice how quickly it drops the particles out. There's no filters. There's a washable collector plate in here that drops in the dishwasher. And the amount of electricity is 1/2 Energy Star rating. It will cost tens of dollars a year to operate this machine because there's no filters and there's very little electricity. And it also is meant to be on 24/7 because you could visualize sleeping in a room where it's 100% silent. And you could visualize it in a family room where it's not interfering with TV and conversations. That's what we have with the Silent Night air purifier. Now, the Silent Night not only removes the particles of the pollen size and the dust size particles, but unlike a HEPA filter, the ultra submicron particles, which most people consider as more dangerous, will pass right through a filter because that's just basically like a screen door and they just pass right through. Well, the way the Silent Night works, these particles are electronically charged and sort of like magnetized onto the collector plate. And these are the particle sizes that are viruses, bacteria, fumes, smoke, even mold spores. These are eliminated. Virtually all of those particles are eliminated also. Since they're not conducive for testing with an air particle counter, they're so small, we use the finest laboratories. Harvard has done a study for us. Also Intertech, that has 1,000 labs worldwide, has done tests that will scientifically confirm all the claims of the Silent Night. The Silent Night was developed by Stan Weinberg, who, using his intellectual property that he gained over 40 years as a respiratory scientist, and also state-of-the-art patents that are licensed. Stan's background in respiratory includes the